So take two. Newcastle. Right. They sit in third place. They sit in third place. Only 7 points behind Arsenal in top. They've lost one game all year, and the game they lost was a 98th minute goal against Liverpool away from home. Right. They've won 6 of their last 7. The 4-0 win over Villa, a 4-1 win over Southampton. They smashed Brentford 5-1. They beat Fulham 4-1. And a lot of people were kind of not really sure what to expect from Newcastle pre-season. Like I said, I did a video comparing the Steve Bruce Newcastle to the Eddie Howe Newcastle when Eddie Howe was appointed last season. And like I just said, I did have them finishing top. I didn't have them finishing top 4, but I said they will be a serious Champions League contender for the majority of the season. I was laughed at by a lot of people, and a lot of people said that was a shit take. But when you look at that squad, and when you look at how Eddie Howe is playing with that squad, and what he's instilling in terms of the foundations of that squad, I don't see why they can't be a Champions League contender. I didn't see why they couldn't. They have a very, very solid defense. They have a very industrious and compact midfield with so much talent up front. Obviously, Wilson is one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League, one of the best true goal scorers in the Premier League. Miguel Almiron looks like a completely different player under Eddie Howe. You have Joe Willock and Alisson Maximin, who are just these sparks of talent and pace and agility that can turn a game on its head. And then you have Chris Wood, where if you ever need a goal or if you need someone to lump the ball up, he's one of the best target men in the league. This squad is so well balanced and it's so well drilled that this shouldn't be a shock to many people. They have a fortress at St James's Park, which is incredibly tough to go to. They have a fantastic away record. Of course, their only game they lost this season was a 2-1 loss away at Liverpool, in which they probably should have got at least a point from that game. I don't understand why why everyone's shocked by this. They are a very, very, very good footballing team. And I think a lot of people were kind of like, oh, plucky Newcastle, like they can't buy their way to the top, etc., etc. I think people underestimated just how bad Steve Bruce was. Just how appalling of a manager at the Premier League level he was. Because we've seen now, he's like Eddie Howe has turned Joe Linton into one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the league. Miguel Almiron is scoring goals for fun. Callum Wilson is scoring goals for fun. Like that defense is still very, very good. Joe Willock and Alisson Maximin are like, when they both play, are fantastic talents. Like I just said, Steve Bruce was holding this squad back. This squad should never have been in a relegation battle. Never been in a relegation battle. Sorry. I should never. It's way too talented. It just has so much talent to be in a relegation battle. And when you have a home crowd and a home fortress like they do at St James's Park, they should win 38 games. They should win at least 70% of their home games, and then bang, that keeps you up straight away. If you win at least 70% of your home games. So I'm shocked at the reaction. This hasn't come to any surprise for me. This is not a surprise in the absolute slightest, because it was obvious to me. It was obvious the talent that they have, and I mean you can go back and look at my preseason predictions. I actually had them finishing. I think I had them finishing 8th. But obviously I did say that they will be a Champions League contender, no doubt, and they definitely had the ability to do that. The one thing I do have maybe not a slight concern over and like a slight maybe question mark is, of course, the lack of depth, lack of true depth. I think once Callum Wilson gets injured, it's a bit tricky. Once Bruno Guimaraes gets injured, it's a bit tricky. But if they can keep their players fully fit for the majority of the season, mate, I don't see why they can't really push the likes of Tottenham, City, and Arsenal all the way. Obviously, a title is well beyond the realms of possibility. But top 4, top 6 definitely isn't, and top 4 most definitely isn't as well. When you look at they've got Palace in the cup, and they've got Chelsea at home. They've got Chelsea at home in their last game before the World Cup break. They should be looking to win that game. Newcastle will probably go into that game favourites, and I don't blame them. They'll probably win that game. They'll probably beat Chelsea, and they probably should beat Palace in the cup as well. When you they were the first team to really challenge Manchester City this season. Like they were the first team to really challenge Man City this season. I mean, when you look at City's form before their game against Newcastle, obviously they lost to Liverpool in the Community Shield, but let's be honest, that's not really a real game. They smashed West Ham. It was only 2-0, but they dominated. They killed Bournemouth 4-0. And everyone thought, oh, here we go, City are going to absolutely romp through Newcastle. And Newcastle went 3-1 up. They went 3-1 up in that game, and it was a fantastic game of football, and it was end-to-end. Both teams had chances, and both teams probably could have won it. Not many teams do that to City. Not many teams do that to City. And the form has just continued. The form has just continued. There's slightly maybe disappointing performances. They only got a point against Wolves, and that was to a maximum goal in the last minute. The result against Liverpool wasn't great, and obviously they drew to Bournemouth, which is something that they probably shouldn't have happened. But you're gonna have inconsistencies. You're gonna have inconsistencies with a squad that has been perennially coached like an under-7s team, and a squad that has been so dismantled confidence-wise. You're going to have inconsistencies, and at times they're going to revert back to what they know under Steve Bruce, because that is a natural response to pressure, is to go back to what you know. And of course, they obviously will know it will be more intrinsically built in them, the Steve Bruce way of playing football, because they did that for a long time, whereas the Eddie Howe is still relatively fresh. Of course, that's why I think the new signings are very good for them. So they don't even think about the Steve Bruce. They don't even know what Steve Bruce's training regime was like. They can just focus on Eddie Howe's. And I mean, I haven't even spoken about the likes of Alexander Isak, who hasn't really played at all this season due to injury. And when he has played, he's looked phenomenal. I'm one of the very few people in the world who are not shocked by Newcastle's performance this season at all. I've got receipts. You can go back and look at just how highly I rated Newcastle at the start of this season. Everything was there. It was so obvious to me. Everything was there for them to have a fantastic season. And they've been extremely unlucky with injuries, and they're still performing exceptionally well. Eddie Howe is such an underrated manager. He's getting the absolute best out of this team, and I don't see it slowing down in the slightest. They're going to go into that game against Chelsea as the favourites, no doubt. They will be favourites against Chelsea. And they probably should beat Chelsea at home. That is insane to think about. If you told me that this time last year, I would have told you no way. But they have improved tenfold, and you have to hang your hat and you have to tip your hat to Eddie Howe for that, because it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to maybe not a little bit. I didn't want to do like tactical analysis. I've already done that. I just wanted to have a little bit of a rant. But yeah, we're just ticking over 32 minutes, so I think it's time to move on. Let's move on to the A-League.